Brick and mortar stores are shuttering their doors forever, and sewing related businesses are being destroyed in the process. This calls for a number of different reasons. Some of these reasons include shipping delays, mass layoffs, tariffs, lockdown strikes, and increases in online sales. However, there is one big elephant in the room that is almost never addressed when it comes to the reason why these businesses are closing. And today we're going to talk about that. So without further ado, let's get into it. The Industrial Revolution of the early 20th century made fabric more readily available and cheaper. So a lot of fabric stores started cropping up all around the country. Most of these fabric stores were family owned and very lucrative. However, when ready-made garments became readily available and cheap, these fabric stores suffered, and the overwhelming majority of them went out of business by the 1980s. However, some of the fabric stores did survive and went on to gobble up other smaller fabric stores. For example, Jo-Ann Fabrics bought Cloth World and House of Fabrics in the 1990s. This would be all well and good, except for when a company acquires other businesses, they often need capital in order to be able to change the branding of those other businesses and also to be able to maintain the business as a whole. So they oftentimes turn to a private equity firm to get the capital that they need in order to keep going. Now I have to go off into the weeds a little bit and explain private equity firms. Please don't click off of the video or skip ahead here, because this part is going to be extremely important to understand so that we can get a better understanding of how this is affecting the sewing community. Private equity firms purchase privately owned companies that are not on the public stock exchange. They generally are incorporated in Delaware to minimize personal risk, and they usually have a pretty complicated business structure to reduce personal liabilities when things go wrong. All you need to know is that a private equity firm generally consists of a general partner who then hires a CEO to run the company. And then they also hire a management firm that is responsible for looking for businesses to buy out for their portfolio. This management company is also responsible for talking to lenders and banks, and these lenders and banks give loans to the private equity firm so that they can purchase these businesses for their portfolio. In addition to receiving money from lenders and banks, the general partner talks to investors and receives a lot of money from these investors. And he's supposed to give them a return on their investment by growing the private company in the portfolio. The only problem with this is that when a privately held company is bought out by a private equity firm, the private equity firm does not owe the lenders in the bank, but instead all of this debt is passed on to the privately held company. So most likely Jo-Ann's was saddled with a ton of debt when it was bought out by Leonard Green and Partners. Once a privately held business becomes a part of the portfolio, the goal is to squeeze as much value out of that company as possible. This is often achieved by reducing cost of goods, which usually reduces the quality of those goods. It's also achieved by increasing prices, cutting employee benefits, and laying off workers. Sometimes these private equity firms have also been known to sell the private company's property and force them to pay rent so that they can get the equity out of the property. These actions often drive businesses out of business entirely, but private equity firms couldn't care less because they can simply liquidate all of the assets and keep the money for themselves, or they can sell the business to someone else for a higher value than what they purchased it for in the first place. Congratulations, you just made it through my boring spiel about private equity firms. We're going to talk about how this affects the sewist and the crafter. But before we do, please do take the time to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and tap that notification bell to receive updates. PE firms profit, but sewing enthusiasts and crafters languish because we no longer have the ability to purchase the supplies that we need in order to get our projects done, because these PE firms have basically driven all of the companies into the ground. In addition to destroying businesses, they also create a monopoly. I will give one example. So, in 2006, Singer merged with Viking and Pfaff, becoming the largest producer of sewing machines in the entire world. But in 2021, Singer Viking Pfaff was bought out by a private equity firm called Platinum Equity. And we all know what private equity firms do, so need I say more? A while back, I did a video about yet another company that was bought out by a PE firm, and this was Arrow Sewing. And if for those of you who don't know, Arrow is the company that makes a lot of our sewing machine tables. And if you haven't seen that video, then I would suggest going and checking it out, and I'll try to leave a link to it somewhere up here. I don't want to jump off topic here, but I think it's very important for everyone that's listening to this video to know that this problem is not isolated to sewing. When I was doing my research, I learned that these firms are buying out water companies that provide water to entire cities. They're also buying up single family homes and driving up the cost of home ownership. In addition to that, they are buying up hospitals and increasing the death rate in the country. And they've even gone so far as to influence political parties. I know that everything that I'm saying sounds real extreme and real crazy, but it's all true. And I will leave links to everything that I'm talking about down in the box. So definitely go and check that out. I think I want to cut this depressing topic short right here. But guys, please do leave your comments down in the comment section below, as I'd love to hear from you. And I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe to receive more sewing related content. Peace.